Hello there. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I've brought to you a very important video, a practical session on how to host a web application on EC2. In my previous video, I have explained to you the theoretical part, the pricing options, the purchasing options, and the types of EC2 instances. Today, what we'll be doing is we'll be hosting a simple web application on this EC2 service in AWS. This you can take as a mini project, or if you are starting your journey in AWS on the cloud platform, this can be a project ready to go from which you can start working on real time projects. So this is the AWS console, which you can see on my screen. The theoretical part of this EC2, that is Elastic Compute Cloud, I have explained in my previous videos. In this playlist of AWS DevOps, you can just watch the previous video, which will help you understand the theoretical concept of EC2. So what we'll do is we'll launch an instance. Instance can also be termed as a virtual machine. It can also be called as EC2 or a server. You can name it by any way, any name. So EC2, you can see here there's an icon called EC2. If you are not able to find it in the search bar, you can just enter EC and 2, that is Elastic Compute Cloud. It is virtual servers in the cloud. So it means virtual servers in the cloud. So I'll click there, and wherever you find this option, launch instance, you can click on launch instance. So I'll just go ahead and I'll have to name the server. I'll name the server as a web server. Web server, you can name it by any name, right? Here you will be getting an option to select the operating system. You can see it's Amazon Linux, Mac OS, Ubuntu, Windows, anything. For the time being, for hosting an application, what I'll do is web-based application. I'll prefer using the Amazon Linux OS only. So it's showing me the kernel version, the architecture type and all in the AMI. AMI stands for Amazon Machine Image. Through this machine image, you can observe here the image is having a unique ID, that is AMI0E12FF. This is AMI. AMI means the virtual machine which is going to spin up, which is going to come up, will be coming through this AMI. This AMI ID. AMI can also be called as a copy, a image. Okay, let's not discuss about it more. We'll go ahead. You'll have to select the instance type. Instance type means what kind of a server, what kind of a machine you need. For my case, I'm just hosting a simple application, web application, which won't require a lot of compute or processing power. For that, the free tier eligible instance I can select. I can go on to select t3.micro, which is free. You can see EC2 instances can be used up to 750 hours per month in the free tier eligibility of AWS. That is why I'll be using t3.micro key pair. So in case you don't have a key pair, you can go on to create a key pair. Key pair means authentication method. If you want to, authenticate your server, if you want to SSH into a server, if you want to connect to the server, AWS will be verifying that it is a legitimate user or not, if it's an authenticate user or not. For that purpose, we have key pairs. Key pairs are actually comes in two parts. The first one is a public key pair, and the second one is a private key pair. So in your case, if you do not have a key pair, you will have to create it. Once you have to create it, you can name it web app key pair, whatever name you can give. Keep it as PEM here for OpenSSH. If you are using a putty software that I'll explain you in the coming videos about putty software, then you can use the PPK file as well. But in my case, we'll just focus on the .pem file. Okay, so the private key format which I selected is PEM, and create the new key pair. The key pair will be created. Now, the private key pair is going to be there on my local machine. The public key pair will be there on the cloud platform. So whenever these two key pairs are going to match, only in that case, I will be able to connect to my server. So you have to keep this key pair, web app key pair.pem, in safe place on your local machine. Okay. And now I've selected, I have multiple key pairs. For this purpose, I'll select the key pair which I have right now created, that is web app key pair. Okay, let's go ahead. Now the second part is related to networking, right? So VPC, that is virtual private cloud, which you can see I have highlighted on the screen. AWS gives you a default VPC, that is a default network which you can use. If you want to create your own network, you can go on to create a new VPC, a new network. That will take some time, but what I will do is we will prefer using the default VPC which is there, which is being given by AWS. That is why I'll keep the settings as it is. What I'll do is I'll enable the HTTP and HTTPS traffic, and what I'll have to do is I have to put the startup script. Now, let's say there's an HTML code which we are supposed to host. For that purpose, what I'll be doing is I am having a code already written here. What I'll do is I'll share this code with you in the description. You can also use the same code. It's a HTML code which we are going to use whenever our server is going to be launched. I can access this code, I can access the website which will be written on the basis of this code through the public IP. So you can just have a look at the code. You can see I've made use of the shebang line. Uh, I've updated my server. I'll be when in advanced detail, when you insert all these details, what is going to happen is the server, the system is going to execute one after the other, this individual commands. So I'm going to update my machine, then I'm going to install the HTTPD package, then I'm going to start and I'm going to enable it, right? Then I want a file to be written. So the file has to be written in this location, var www slash html with the name index.html. So now in index.html, what kind of a file will be written? So it's an HTML file. I won't go in the basics of this file because it's a part of the developer's work. A developer has written the file. Let's assume that case that a developer has written the file and it's your work to host that file. It's our job as a DevOps engineer to host that application, host that file. So with that perspective, we won't go in the dynamics of this code, but what we'll do is when the website will be hosted, uh, I want something which shall be visible on the screen. So you can see I have written here AWS static site, then deploy static website on AWS, right? And then I've also given a function for it that your EC2 website is working. So this is what is supposed to be displayed when I try on to access the virtual machine. So I'll just copy this. I'll copy this, and what I'll be doing is I'll be just pasting this into this advanced details tab. Okay, just remember at the end of the file, just give two enters, at least two enters here. Just press enter twice here so that the last line of the file is executed because you're working in the shell. That's it. That's it. That's it. We are good to go. We can, after pasting this in the advanced details tab, what we can do is we can launch the instance. So my instance will be launching. It will take some time. You can see I've got an instance ID. My server or my virtual machine or my EC2 will be denoted, will be identified by this instance ID. So this is unique for each of the instances. In my case, the instance which I've got is instance ID which I've got is being displayed on your screen. So you can see here the public IP is also there. With this public IP, anyone from outside world can access my website. Okay, we'll try and see if we can go on to access this website or not. Let's go ahead. This is the private IP address for communication, within, let's say if you want to communicate within the network, within the VPC, you can go on to access it through this private IP. Let's go and see whether my instance is ready or not. You can see the instance is initializing. It's not yet ready. It's not yet ready. Okay. For the time being, what we'll do is we'll see what security groups, security ports we have enabled. For that, you can go in the security tab. You can scroll down. You can check security group. This is the security group which is assigned to your instance. You can click here and you can check which ports are there. You can see for HTTP we have port 80 being enabled, and for HTTPS we have 443 being enabled. So what we'll do is we'll try and access this website on the HTTP port that is 80 and it is enabled. So we need not modify this. Always remember, in the security group, these ports have to be enabled for you to access the website. Okay, so let's check what is happening with the instance status. Okay, the instance is still coming up. We should get a status check here. The status check should be 3 by 3, right? So 3 by 3, what do you mean by 3 by 3? In an interview, a question may be asked to you, what are 3 by 3 checks in AWS EC2 instance when it comes to launching an EC2 instance? What is 2 by 2 check or 3 by 3 check? So the first check is related to system status, which verifies the physical infrastructure like the power, networking, host, hardware, etc. The second check is related to instance status check that verifies the OS functionality, kernel, and the boot process. And the final check, that is the third check, is related to instance reliability check, which normally verifies the network connectivity. Okay, so whenever a question is asked to you, you can give the answer with that perspective that the three checks are system status check, instance status check, and instance reachability check. Okay, more details you can just try and find out from the details out here. The instance ID is being given here at the bottom. You have the public IP here. You have the private IP which is given. Further, you can see which type of instance I'm using. I'm making use of a T3.micro instance, and which VPC or which network I am using. I'm using the default network. I did not go on to create a different network in AWS or in general purpose. If a person is not having good knowledge of networking, he can use the default VPC or the default network given by AWS. It makes life easy, right? Rather than configuring your own network and hosting your application there, you can make use of the default VPC. How to make a new VPC, or let's say how to make a user defined VPC for a specific purpose, how to create a new VPC, that I'll be showing you in the coming sessions. But as of now, we'll only rely on the default VPC. Okay, let's see if the status check has come to 3 by 3 or not. Yes, so the status check has come to 3 by 3. That is, the 3 by 3 checks have been passed. That means the first check, that is the system status check. The second is the instance status check. And the third one is the instance reachability check. All the three checks have been passed. Now, what we can do is we can see if our application is running or not. For that purpose, what I'll do is I'll click this public IP address here. I'll click this public IP, copy this, and I'll just paste here and I'll press enter. Let's see what happens. Yes, my instance is up. My application is being hosted onto the EC2 platform. You can see once you enter the public IP in the URL, you can see that the web application has come up. So this completes the simplest way of hosting a web application on the EC2 platform. So you can see whatever I'd written in the code, you can observe here it's being displayed onto the screen. You can access this from anywhere if you're using your mobile phone, and you just insert this public IP address. Don't get confused between the public IP address and the private IP address. Public IP address is used to access from outside world, from the external world, the application which you have hosted. Private IP will be used only for internal communication. So if you are going to search with the private IP, you won't find that application. You have to search with this public IP address. Once again, I'll show it to you. I'll copy this and I've pasted in the URL, and let's see, here it is. Here we go. Right? So this is how you are going to host the application. Now, where is the application? How is the application hosted? We all know, right? In EC2 instance, I had inserted the startup script which was there. I just entered, paste, copy and pasted the startup script into the advanced detail, the script which I had already written. I will be sharing the script to you in the description. But what we'll do is we'll log into the server. We'll see if the script is already there at this location or not. Var www html index.html. For that, what I'll do is I'll connect to this instance now. Let's go into the instance. Let's go into the server. I'll connect this, and let's say sudo su. I'll just clear this. I have to go into HTML, change directory to HTML and LL. you can see that the file index.html, which was supposed to be, which actually includes the content of your HTML code, all this content, it is there onto the web server, onto your EC2 instance. That is why the application is being hosted here. That is why I'm able to run the application here through the public IP, right? So let's see, let's cat into this index.html and see if the content is really there. Here I go. And yes, you can see the content is there as it is. That is why it's being displayed onto the web page. So this brings me to the end of this session. There are multiple ways. You can go on to host an application, host a web server. This is the most simplest and this is the easiest way to host a web-based application on your EC2 server. In the coming sessions, I'll be explaining to you many other ways, of hosting an application on various AWS services onto the platform. So if you have understood this video, you can use this concept to showcase a mini project. You can try and start your journey onto the cloud platform with this simplest application, which won't take more than 5 minutes. I have explained this to you. That is why it is taking me 10 to 15 minutes. But once you go on to host this, it won't take more than 5 minutes, right? So this brings me to the end of the video session. If you have understood this concept, if you have liked it, please do share the video and please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because I'll be bringing to you many more videos which are related to cloud and the DevOps platform. So I'll get back to you. We'll meet in the next videos. So ensure that you hit the notification button on, so that whenever a new video is posted into the playlist of AWS DevOps, you will be notified in the real time. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you.